Hi, Richard.
Who is this?
Who is this?
Who is
I,
this?
well, actually, you asked first. What's going on? There's some news. There's some things are just out today.
Okay,
I know
so
it's
now you're getting me excited because I have a feeling you're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
no, but I'm talking about the NFL.
Oh, you're talking about the NFL. Okay, go ahead. Please tell me.
Probably not a gigantic surprise, but the New York Jets will be the Hard Knocks team this year. I know you've watched that documentary before, HBO. They go through the preseason and the season. Aaron Rodgers is there.
Yeah.
I know. Do we need to? And it's probably not that big of a deal because there's already going to be a million cameras there anyway. But
Yeah.
it'll be documented in a way that is behind the scenes. And Hard Knocks puts cameras in there that aren't manned, which is much different than anything else. Are you a consumer at all to see behind the scenes of the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers?
Probably as a hater, yes. I would do that just so I can have more things to criticize. I do not like. I love their head coach. I do,
Mm-hmm.
Roberts. Yeah, I like him. Aaron Rodgers, man, just leaves me cold. There's nothing about that guy that I respect. I don't think. I don't think he's got the talent that he thinks he does. I don't think that I would have paid him that much money. I would have built the team from the bottom up. Of course, they didn't do that very well. They've had a chance to do that several times, and they seem to have picked the wrong people. So why is Aaron Rodgers the right people? I don't know. How about you? Would you watch?
I think I am right in line with you. I'm watching from a car crash natural disaster standpoint.
Yeah.
I want to see the whole thing tumble down the hill in earthquake form. And I know I don't know, that's just what we are. We're voyeuristic and I kind of want to see it all go to heck. I I think Aaron Rodgers is going to buckle under this pressure.
I don't
I
think he's going
really
to buckle. I think if he buckles, it's going to be because he's hurt. Um, I think he's short term, and I think he's going to buckle also. I think you're going to see. He really had it nice in Green Bay, but I don't. I mean, I didn't like anything about him. He was a whiner. He was pay me, pay me, pay me. He was I'm going to be celebrities. I'm going to date celebrities. He was a holistic, natural cure guy. He was, yes, I got a vaccine. Oh, but it wasn't a COVID vaccine. There's too many issues around him personally that I don't like.
It's always him. He's always in the middle of it. And when it's
Yeah.
always you're the common denominator, right?
Yeah, exactly. And hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's going to come out and light it up. I don't think so, but we'll see. And I'd sooner have Kenny Pickett than Aaron Rodgers.
Wow. You know what? I probably would from this point in his career on. I probably would.
And you know what the thing is? I don't understand how these guys that run teams really look at that. Like, okay, the cost of winning today. What is the cost? They really think Aaron Rodgers will put them in the Super Bowl this year? I mean, that I don't know. I guess I'm old school, and I go back to Chuck Noll, and always drafting the best available athlete and building it from the inside out. I think that's what we're doing. We're building it from the inside out. I know that Omar's made some really aggressive moves, and I think they're going to be good ones. But I'm going to come back then. That'll bring me to Najee Harris.
Let's go.
That I saw an article last night on Pro Football Talk that said, basically, I think somebody at CBS said he was the most overrated back or the most overrated Steeler, that he really didn't do well. And then they talk about having a steel plate in his foot. What do you think of Najee? Do you think he's all that, or do you think he's not?
I think this year is the deciding force. I think it can go. I think he is right at an apex of a mountain where he goes over the top this way or over the top that way. And he proves one of two things. One, that the Steelers made a very good decision by doing something that a lot of teams don't really do, which is draft a running back in the first round. Or Najee Harris, when everybody yelled, why would you draft a back in the first round? They were right. Like, this year is the absolute determining factor. It really is. I never would draft a running back in the first round. I think they're interchangeable. I think that you can get one off the scrap heap to perform good enough. But I'll tell you, when I was at minicamp, like there are very few people in the NFL as nimble as that, built like that. He is put together and big.
Okay, so let's go down that road a little bit, because I completely, if you remember this, I disagreed with you about drafting running back. I felt like he was that guy, and very rare opportunity to have that guy. So yes, I disagreed, and I was disappointed. But yet, I don't know that anybody's really understood the impact of his injury. Imagine having a steel plate in your foot and trying to perform at the NFL level, which the latter half of the year he did. Now, you put an offensive line around him, right? Which we have. You put an offensive line around him. You balance the passing attack, because really, when his first year, we had to depend on Ben, Dinkin, and Duncan, 2-yard passes. So he didn't really have – everything was focused on him. Our offense was focused on him. So I think he can do it. I think he is that guy. I thought he was that guy back then. I think he is that guy right now. And I think as long as he stays healthy, and in the NFL, that is the biggest question before you. And if somebody's shown a penchant for injury, that would make me nervous, and I would have to understand what that injury was. But with Najee, I think Najee is, like you said, he's a monster. He's a beast. And who's going to get in his way?
Well, let me pick apart what you said and just use your argument against you a little bit.
Go ahead.
And this is exactly my thing. You say if he's healthy, and you make a good point. Well, he had a metal plate in his foot, right? And which that's my whole argument.
Yeah.
Running backs, no matter what shape they're in, no matter how great they are in college, no matter what they've done, they seemingly all get hurt or dinged up, which is why I would never take one in the first round. I would just interchange them. I would go get another one and go get another one and put that draft stock and value into the offensive line as a first round pick, into a receiver as a first round pick, into a defensive lineman as a first round pick.
Okay, so if I were to then take what you said and use it against you, I would say, if that were true, why the hell haven't we had a running back for the last 5 years? If they're that interchangeable, where were they? We haven't had anybody of note. We had Le'Veon, right?
I think, yeah.
We had Le'Veon partially. We had him partially, and that was it. Who else have you had?
Again, I think the backup right now can be as good as Najee Harris if you have a line in front of him.
I disagree with that.
But you don't think Jaylen Warren could be pretty good?
No.
Okay.
No. You know what I want to see? I would love to see, and the other thing that they said about Najee was that, he danced a lot in the back behind the line, danced a lot, patient, taking his time, trying to pick a hole. And you and I talked about this a lot. Just put your head down. You're a beast. Put your head down and go straight, north and south. Don't go east-west. Don't stutter. There's very few people that can do that. That is what Le'Veon Bell did well, probably as good as anybody, or better. But that's not a talent that everybody has, that patient style, and especially when you're a monster like Najee is. So I don't know. I don't think with a line in front of him, I think Najee just absolutely, I think he leads the league. He almost reminds me a little bit what I think his potential is of a Jimmy Brown.
Wow.
Yeah. You don't think he could be Jimmy Brown from his physicality?
You're talking about one of the greatest of all time.
Greatest ever. But you saw him, he never, if you watch his highlights, he always got up slow, like he was hurt, and then he'd go run over people. Najee can run over people. That's what I think. He can run over people. And I think that Omar built that offense around that presumption. I really do.
Well, again, it gets back then to this year is his prove it year. That's for sure.
It's 100% his prove it year. But also, again, I want to go back to what you said. If running backs were that dispensable, Why haven't we had one?
They haven't been able to pick the right one.
Oh, okay. But I mean, if you got 10 of them and they're all the
Well,
same,
let me say this too. The last 2 years of Ben Roethlisberger's career, it's hard to run a football when you don't have a quarterback that can throw the football deep. Thus, you can't keep people honest.
I'm going to disagree with that too. I'm going to
Okay.
I'm contentious today. What can I tell you? No,
That's
here's
fine.
what I'm going to say about that. I don't believe he couldn't throw the ball long. I believe he had an offensive coordinator that hampered him. I believe that at the center of all of this is my one and only question about this year's Pittsburgh Steelers, and that is their offensive coordinator. I don't know if those plays were being called because he had no other choice, but they were, from a fan's perspective at least, it was the worst play calling I've seen Pittsburgh Steelers play.
Oh,
Now,
I agree with that.
and I understand every offensive coordinator we've had, we always find as fans find reason to criticize them. We hated Bruce Arians. We ran him out of town. He goes to St. Louis and he wins the Super Bowl. Then he goes to Tampa, and then blah 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 blah. But we are very critical of offensive coordinators. However, some of the things that Matt Canada did last year were really questionable. And I thought even Mike Tomlin said, hey, you know what? We're going to see how it goes. We're going to give him an opportunity and see how it goes. And to me, that meant, buddy, you're going to have to earn your stripes this year, right? So that's my biggest question. So is it because Ben couldn't throw the ball deep? Because sometimes he uncorked it, didn't he?
Yeah, but not with very great accuracy. So that's another thing. This is, you have the Steelers pegged for like 12 wins or whatever you said.
100%.
I am
100%.
I think I just don't know. I can't call it. I think the variation on the Steelers this year, like if they win 12 games, if they win 7 games, it wouldn't surprise me. I think they have the greatest variation of any team in the NFL.
What if, because we tend to judge prematurely, what was the Steelers' record the last 8 games of the year?
It was good, right?
What was it?
I've got to look it up. I don't know.
What was it? Well, maybe is it the last 9? Were they 7-2 or something crazy?
Right. I mean, they roared down the stretch, right?
They roared down the stretch. So if you roar down the stretch and you're coming straight in, you're going to start again. Do you roar as a 6-12 or 6-11 guy, or do you keep roaring as a 7-2 guy?
I don't believe momentum.
Pardon me?
Carries through. I don't believe momentum carries through when there's so much inactivity and the year starts all the way over.
I think it does. I think it's a mentality. It's a culture. It's a winning culture. We have a winning culture, and I hope that's the focus. We are starting as a winner, not a loser. We didn't lose anything last year. At the end of that season, I think it was 7-2, if I'm not mistaken.
I would agree that Kenny Pickett is in a much better place.
He's in a better place.
Well, a million times better place.
Well, many people would say that's because he just got married.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let me ask you a question off the beaten path. Do people still eat Wheaties? Did you see who's on the cover of the Wheaties box?
The Watt brothers.
Yes.
I love that.
So do I.
You know what else I loved? You know what else
What's
I
that?
loved? I'll tell you something else I loved about that duo. That his brother said he had toyed with the idea of coming to the Steelers, and all 3 brothers would have been here. But he didn't, because he didn't want to take away. He knew his brother was in contract negotiations, and he didn't want to take money away from his brother's potential to earn money with the Steelers. I thought that was cool.
Well, then he could have taken a pay cut.
Yeah. That's brotherly love.
Yes. And I think that maybe some younger bucks don't realize this. Back in the day, if you were on 2 things, the Wheaties box and a Sports Illustrated cover, like that was it, right?
Well, now you're on Madden.
Now you're on a video game. You're right.
Yeah.
But if you were on those 2 things, there wasn't much more prestige in sports.
Wait, what were they? Wheaties box, and what was the second thing you said?
A cover of Sports Illustrated.
A cover of Sports Illustrated, yeah. They still make Sports Illustrated? Is that still out there?
On the computer here, you could read it, but I don't know about a hard copy. But if you, because I remember coming home on Thursdays from school and getting the Sports Illustrated. And I remember when Mario Lemieux was on the cover. And
Wow.
it was like, wow, Pittsburgh is national now. Like it's international. And Bonds was on the cover one week. And it was like, wow, this is national. And then when the Penguins won the second cup, they were on the Wheaties box.
What was that? What year? 92?
91, 92. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
had to
I was
get
5.
that. What'd you say?
I said I was 5.
Oh, get out of here! But you had to get that Wheaties box, and like you think of like Mary Lou Retton was on the Wheaties box, and like the
Oh my gosh, I
prestige,
remember that name. Yeah. Wow.
that came with
I
that.
can remember the picture. I can tell you the picture with her. She was in her gym. Yes.
like that.
Yes. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so you're still not a 12-5 guy for the Steelers.
Nah.
What are you? Tell me what you are. Come on, commit.
9-8.
Oh,
Well,
come on. Let
I
some
just
fandism step inside your thought process.
I just don't. I'm still really leery about this receiving core.
Why?
Deontay Johnson shows up some of the time. George Pickens. I'm worried about how good of a teammate George Pickens is.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that I care. I know that he's a monster also. So you have him. You have a 6'6" tight end or 6'7", whatever he is, that could play tackle. You have whatever his name is.
Freiermuth, yep.
Freiermuth, you have him. Deontay, the interesting thing about Deontay that bothers me is the fact that he didn't catch a touchdown pass. That's a really disturbing fact. And I'm not sure where or why it's disturbing. I don't know if it was because he dropped balls. I don't know if it was because they didn't call the plays for him to make the score. I don't know why it was, but it was. And so that's a very disturbing fact. How do you pay $18 million and a guy doesn't catch a touchdown pass?
You'd think you could like accident into one somehow, back your way into one, figure it out around the goal line.
I'm going to call out Omar on that. Me and Omar, as you know, are pretty good friends. So Omar, come on, do something about this.
You got to figure it out. So, and then Calvin Austin.
I'm going to tell you the other thing. Omar Khan is going to go down in history as the best general manager Pittsburgh Steelers have ever had. He is. You'll see. You'll see.
That's a weighty thing to throw on somebody just a few months into their tenure.
I said it before. I said it 10 years ago when he was just waiting in the wings. And I said it to him. I've said it to everybody. He's that guy. He really is.
Wow.
He's that guy. But then I saw another thing on Pro Football Talk that our analytics guy went to the Dallas Cowboys. You see that? And I'm curious to see how you feel. What role do you think analytics should play in professional football?
Well, this is interesting. I think it's all the sports, really. You can't judge things or base things solely on analytics, but you can't judge or base things solely on the old school eye test either. There has to be a happy marriage somewhere in the middle. And I think the best organizations find that middle ground and marry the two things. It's I know that sounds like a simple answer, but I think that's
it's a safe answer. It's a safe answer.
I think if you go too far and you get the nerds involved too much, you take the feel out of the game.
So now they're nerds. Okay.
I'm going the other way, though, too. But here's the other way. If you just go straight ahead old school meathead, then you're ignoring what the numbers tell you, too. You have to get those two people in a room together and marry those two quotients.
I don't know how you do that. I believe in the analytics phase of it. I do believe in that. But I also would tell you that if I'm on the field and I'm coaching and I have the crowd and I have everybody wound up, I don't care what those analytics say. If it's 4th and 2 I'm going.
Okay.
I'm getting in.
But but here's where I'm going to marry those two. Yeah. You have the feel and the passion and the juice and everything else, and you want to go for it. But somebody can get in your ear and tell you, that's great, but the probability is run left here and it'll be good. That's where it comes in and you marry the two.
Okay. I mean, I get that.
You see what I'm saying?
But what would the analytics have said when Marshawn Lynch was going to could have run the ball in for the Super Bowl win, right? And instead we threw past.
that is what the analytics and the eye test tell me. That's one of the worst coaching decisions in NFL history, and Pete Carroll should be disqualified from any Hall of Fame consideration because of that. He had one of the best short yardage backs in history.
Ever.
In history. Yeah. And didn't give him the football there.
Unbelievable.
That's like walking up to an ice cream stand and ordering liver and onions.
That's pretty funny. I love that, and it's why I love you. But it's also kind of crazy. Go back to my dear friend Ken Wisenhunt in St. Louis throwing a pass, Kurt Warner throwing a pass that was intercepted by our dear friend James Harrison and run back for 93 yards for a touchdown.
Threw the pass. Like they still threw the pass.
They threw the pass.
Right. They did what they did. That is what their offense did.
But from the 1 yard line? I mean, I love you, Kenny, but that wouldn't have been my call. Anyway,
yeah,
but nothing was as ridiculous as the Marshawn Lynch play. But anyway, so I don't know what the analytics would have said. The analytics would have said, run the ball, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, and the logic.
And
not just the analytics.
Yeah.
The old school and the new school married together would have said, run the football. So
how much, and I'm going to let you go because I know we didn't talk even about the racing.
Oh, yeah, I went to racing. I went to Mid-Ohio this past.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. You took your son.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
And for anybody that's watching, his son is like a walking, talking encyclopedia of NASCAR racing. I mean, he knows everything. Give me an example of something he knows that would be nobody else would know.
He could tell you any driver what they've done the last 10 races and the places that they finished and who finished around them.
All the drivers?
Cup Series, Xfinity Series, Truck Series, any of them.
So I didn't even know. Is that what there are 3 series?
Yep. And there's ARCA, which is just below that. And let me let you in on this. Let me give you a tidbit who's driving an ARCA, who's an up-and-coming ARCA racer that has made a go of it professionally and is a Ford racer that is going to make a career out of this. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
Frankie Muniz, Malcolm in the Middle.
What?
Did you know that?
No.
I promise you. He was there. He's a race car driver.
Really?
I would not lie to you. And a Ford man.
And he's a good one. He's a good driver?
160 miles an hour, 3 wide.
And what's he driving? What was he driving? Mustang?
Ford. Mustang.
Mustang?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He has the money. He funds himself. He's made a go at it, and it's not some celebrity like Garth Brooks at spring training or whatever playing with the Pirates. He's a legitimate race car driver. Frankie Muniz, Malcolm in the Middle.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. I mean, he funds himself because it's a pretty expensive sport.
Oh, right? Yeah, it is. I mean, he has some sponsors, and because of his fame, he's able to get and procure bigger sponsors than most regular people are.
Wow. So the great part about all of this is I can't really have an intelligent conversation about NASCAR. I can't. But your son can. And he could have it with the best announcers in the world, right? There's nobody that would know more than him about it.
No, he could have it with anybody and nobody will outsmart him. Like he can hold his own in a conversation about it.
And
absolutely.
How old is he, Colin?
12 years old.
12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I just think that's the coolest thing, to have that passion for something at that young age. That's so cool. So good luck to him, and hopefully he'll be representing us someday.
Well, we will be in Michigan on August 5th, which Ford takes gigantic value in winning that Michigan race because it's essentially their home race.
It's the backyard. Yeah.
Yeah. And that one is super important. And Kevin Harvick has won it a ton, a Ford guy. And that's the one they want to win at Michigan International Speedway. And we go every year. So.
And that's August 5th. Remind me, we'll talk more about that.
We will, sir. I will talk to you soon.
I love you. Thank you so much.
See you, brother.
See you, man.